Today in the studio, we're actually going to talk about a subject that I think every single four-wheel driver or want-to-be four-wheel driver should think about. And that is, and we tossed around a few different titles, so I'm going to try this in a few different ways. What's the right tyre for your four-wheel drive, or how to choose the right tyre for your four-wheel drive, or even more specifically, how to choose the right tyre for the type of driving you actually do, plus some of what you actually want to be doing as well. So need versus want. And to talk about that, we actually have Steve, who comes from Toyo. Well, actually, he doesn't come from Toyo, he comes from Australia, but he works for Toyo, and he is their training and technical manager. And Steve's here to help us add some colour around tyre choice. What tyres do we have in front of us here?
Okay, so yeah, we have pretty much the full Toyo SUV range here. So to start with, we have that OE replacement tyre, which is the Open Country UT, okay? So that is already available in size, original equipment, replacement sizes for most 4x4 utes and wagons, okay? Passenger construction only. It is also available in some sizes to fit your compact vehicles as well, okay? So that's pretty much our straight OE replacement.
Where you start.
Yes, where you start, okay? Second one, Open Country AT3, okay? So that's our, I suppose, the biggest selling SUV tyre in our range and the most popular, okay? Newish to the market, mainly in light truck, a few passenger construction sizes as well. Moving along in the range, the Open Country RT 2-ply. That is new to the market as of this year. The last two have been in the market for some time. The Open Country RT USA produced 3-ply tyre. Okay, so as you could probably understand, as we're going along in the range, we're getting more aggressive, we're getting more off-road oriented.
More hardcore.
Yes, more hardcore,
That's
yes,
right.
Absolutely. And to finish with the Toyo Open Country MT, so the most aggressive tyre in the Toyo range, the most hardcore and the most heavy duty.
So naturally, when we're getting into four-wheel driving, we think we need to go hardcore. We want to go work our way up the range. But I was going to almost say, where do we start? But it's almost, let's take a step back from that and then maybe have a think about what sort of four-wheel drivers we're going to be.
Well, that's exactly where we start, Joe. If we want to get the best tyre option, we've got to be honest with the type of driving we're doing, okay?
Honesty.
Honesty, yes, with yourself at least, okay? Maybe not with your mates, but with
Is that
yourself.
even possible? So let's start off where most people start, and that's with a tyre like this. So it's a relatively OE replacement. And then we will work our way up and talk about all the different, tyre options that people have as they get more and more hardcore or choose different types of four-wheel driving. So what is the OE equivalent capable of?
So it's really designed for people who do no off-road or minimal off-road, okay? But I think people often underestimate what it can do, okay? So obviously its on-road performance is its main positives, okay? Quiet, good ride comfort, grip level, especially in the wet, noise. On the road, it's going to be much better than all the other products we're looking at here because that's what it's designed to do. And that's why most vehicle manufacturers fit something very similar as original equipment. What they will do is a little bit of sand work and a little bit of dirt road work, okay? Even with good pressure management, it's surprising what you can actually do with them, but they are more versatile than people think, but still they do have, once we start getting a bit serious with our dirt road work or off-road, they are much more susceptible to punctures than once we start moving up to something like an all-terrain tyre.
But it is an interesting thing that a tyre like this will actually perform better in the sand than most of the rest of them.
Yes, and that's mainly a construction thing.
Yes.
Okay, 2-ply tyre, more flexible than a lot of the more heavy-duty designs here. That means we get bigger footprint, better flotation, nicer on the sand, okay?
If you literally drive to work and back and then you go to the sand dunes on the weekend, something like this is actually a far better choice than the rest of them, even though you might think that you need the most aggressive one.
The OE style of tyre like a UT is definitely the best option. Even if you're doing just a little bit of off-road that's very mild, still that's going to be your best.
Those that want to upgrade logically step up to an all-terrain tyre. Yes. So we've got the Toyo Open Country AT3 2-ply sidewall tyre here.
Yes.
What are the key benefits of the upgrade between the relatively OE sized type tyre to the first AT?
And probably one thing to keep in mind too, that changed from a OE style highway tyre to an all-terrain usually goes with the change from a passenger to a light truck.
So passenger versus light truck construction, what's the actual difference there?
A more compliant tyre in the passenger tyre, so ride comfort's better. We're going to have more ride harshness with a light truck because it's generally less sidewall deflection, and that's more of a carcass construction thing.
Yeah. So how they actually build the tyre is different from a P to an LT.
Yes, it is. It is, especially designed down near the bead. Okay.
Okay.
So, in really simple terms, a light truck tyre, a light truck or commercial tyre is designed to carry heavier loads most of its life.
Yes.
Okay. And the design reflects that.
Yeah.
The other big difference for off-roaders with the light truck ones is really relates to the belt package and.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So the big difference is usually a heavier belt package, better punch resistance, and that's a big advantage compared to your passenger tyre. Once we start doing some more serious off-road stuff.
So again, stepping up to the AT, we've got more puncture resistance, more grippy tread, but we still have the more grippy tread off-road, but we still have the benefit of a pretty consistent tread face, which means better. It's still going to have some good manners on road.
So this is probably the mass market tyre, the all-terrain tyre. So when we say all-terrain, I think it's most people have users have high expectations of what these tyres can do. And I think it's a credit to most tyre manufacturers now is that modern all-terrain tyres are only a little bit noisier than a highway tyre. They don't give away too much performance compared to a highway tyre. Yep. There is some, definitely, okay? But not as much as you think, because it is a big change.
I've had all-terrain tyres that actually stick better than the OE tyres. It's amazing.
Yeah, grip-wise, but also, noise, ride comfort, all those other things as well. Noise is probably the big one, because it's very hard to, once we start getting more aggressive in tread pattern, to make them quiet. But I think, modern engineering means there's less and less compromise with your all-terrain style of tyre.
So speaking of compromises, one of the big things that's coming onto the market more recently is the RT type tyre, so the aggressive all-terrain tyre. We actually have two of those here. So tell me why somebody would choose an RT type tyre, because we actually have two Toyo RTs right here. And what are the compromises between an AT and an RT?
Okay, and look, most of them relate to the tread pattern, okay? And most brands are similar in that we're going to a more aggressive tread pattern, a more off-road oriented pattern, okay? And the first answer is noise. They will be noisier. Is the general rule more open? The tread pattern is the more off-road traction, but the more noise we have. And that does apply, but it's not a big jump.
Yes.
Okay, it's still not what you'd call intrusive. Okay,
so
but it is noticeably noisy.
There. But I mean, you look at the size of the voids that we're looking at here in the tread.
We're starting to look at big differences, aren't we? Yes,
like
that's right.
It's literally halfway between the MT and the AT is where the RT sits.
This product we're looking at here is the Open Country RT 2-plane, which is relatively new to the market. So, and this relates to what you sort of just mentioned, is that people like that more aggressive tread look, okay? The problem is most of those more aggressive tyres are, like our RT 3-ply, a big jump, okay? Much heavier tyre, much more off-road tyre. And now, if you need that, that's fine. If you don't, again, we're getting a lot of disadvantages with increased weight and ride harshness. So what we have now for your occasional off-roaders, we really have two choices, okay? The Open Country AT3 or the new Open Country RT 2-ply, okay?
So you would actually say most off-roaders
or occasional
off-roaders should actually stick with a 2-ply carcass.
Yes.
So let's delve into occasional off-roaders a little bit more, and ATs have always been the choice, but now we have coming onto these markets, particularly hey, Toyo happens to have a new 2-ply RT. Which would you choose depending on, like as a casual off-roader, between the AT and the RT product in the 2-ply format?
Well, it's great now because we really have an option for that suits what people want, but also covers their needs in the 2-ply tyre now. So really, for most occasional off-roaders, they should consider both, okay?
So run one on each side.
Very good, very good. No, look, well, they should, when they're buying, they should consider both, and again, the choice is theirs. So, but again, but understand the compromises. So one is better at some things than others.
Yes.
Okay, so in short, look, the Open Country AT3, it's going to be the longest wearing and the quietest, where your RT 2-ply is a little bit noisier, but does have better off-road traction.
And looks sexy.
And the on-road performance is not that much different from the AT3.
Casual off-roader most likely needs to choose the 2-ply. in what circumstance would we go up to the 3-ply RT?
So once we start looking at the two products on the end here, the Open Country RT 3-ply USA produced tyre and the Open Country MT, both 3-ply tyres, this is really aimed at your serious hardcore off-roaders, okay? They need and require that full 3-ply tyre for the exceptional puncture resistance. So it's really, in short, that's where those tyres are aimed.
Yeah,
okay?
but they come with a pretty hefty penalty though in the weight.
They do, yes, as we'll talk about. But yeah, so once we start getting into more aggressive tyres and 3-ply tyres, they're heavier. And also once we add, especially once we start looking at the MTs, a more aggressive tread pattern, where heavier tyres and more aggressive tyres means we're using more fuel. Okay?
More fuel and also perhaps less safe as well.
Well, grip level is good on sealed roads, yes. Yep. So especially braking distances.
So in a sudden braking moment, then you're going to stop.
The braking distance is going to be much longer than something like an all-terrain, absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah, so there's definitely compromises. Noise, definitely going to be noisier.
You need to rotate them more often because if you rotate these less, then they're actually going to make more noise, which means you're going to hate them more. So key thing is rotating lots. Still definitely rotating, but not rotating as much.
Yeah. Once we get, you're right, Jared. Once we get more aggressive, it's critical to rotate them. 10,000 bare minimum, 5's the best option. Once we start getting like a mud tyre, okay? Because you're right, we get a little bit of irregular wear. Once it gets past a certain point, you can't really go back, and noise is usually the result to that.
When you can hear the car coming down the road going wom, 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 wom. They've obviously not looked after their mud tyres, even though they look hardcore.
Yes.
So you could almost say like the bulk, like 80% of people choose all-terrains?
Look, as far as, let's look at SUV in a very broad terms. SUV tyre sales in Australia looking at all-terrain and more aggressive. Yes, the AT market is the biggest by a big margin.
Yes.
Okay?
Should we talk about weights?
Yes, we should.
I think we should talk about weights. So we start off with 17.3 kilos. The logical upgrade goes to the AT, and that's 22 kilos in a 270, 265.
265, 6517. So that's very common. Actually, it's the most common OE tyre on Hilux, previous model Ranger. Okay, so very popular size. Really common upgrade on the same wheel is 265/70. A little bit taller, same wheel, roughly the same width, pretty much the same. So but if we do that little upgrade,
it's almost a 5 kilo weight penalty.
Yeah.
And that's a 20 kilo weight penalty across all 4 tyres.
Significant difference. And okay, total vehicle weight, nothing. Unsprung weight, big change. Big change.
So interestingly, the RT 2-ply is lighter than the AT. It comes in at 19.6 kilos. So 17.3, 22 kilos, 19.6. How? More groove area, a little bit less tread depth. Yes.
Okay, so that's why we end up lighter. Construction, very, very similar.
Yeah.
That's why it's lighter.
Yeah, okay. So it actually literally is lighter because there's slightly less tread and bigger gaps.
Yeah, so again, looking back at the occasional off-roader having these two options. So although the AT3 is a little heavier, the tread pattern's has got less rolling resistance than the RT. So we end up somewhere fuel economy about the same.
Interesting.
This is a really good option for tradies who want an aggressive tyre but have still decent on-road performance.
That's right.
Okay.
Still got to have the kids in the car on the weekend and take them to soccer or whatever, and they want some comfort still.
Comfort and also, grip level, noise level as well.
Yes. So the RT 3-ply is 25.6 kilos. So 17.3 to 25.6. That's a hefty weight gain.
Yeah.
And then even the MT is heavier. Again, I threw my back out twice today, just lifting that thing. It's 28.3 kilos, 11 kilo gain going from that to that. So that's going to really affect the vehicle's dynamics.
A lot, yes. And fuel consumption, both of these things,
And then the MT actually has more tread again, doesn't it?
Yes, so 15 mil.
Yep.
It has a little bit more void, but 15 mil. But the other thing, two things the M2's got that increase the weight as well. It's got the biggest, thickest side biters of all of them, okay? Very, very thick side biters, okay? That adds a lot of weight.
A whole bunch of extra rubber around the outside, which is good from a protection perspective.
Yes, and it looks really
That's
good.
right.
But it is actually very functional here in actually protecting that shoulder area when we're aired down because it is very thick.
So again, I think the real context for this video is choosing the tyre that actually suits what you need as a fall driver, as a daily driver, as all of the above, and properly being honest with yourself about what you actually need. I mean, of these tyres, the RT 2-ply actually seems to be the most logical choice for many people if they want that more aggressive look. But the AT is still the choice for most people, no matter the look, because of the the advantages that it brings over
Probably
going far more hardcore.
Probably the most versatile of all the tyres here.
Yep.
That would probably be the best way to describe it.
Yep.
But if we're being more subjective, we want something that looks more aggressive.
More
we're
hardcore.
not giving away too much
Yes.
on-road performance by making this choice, and that's why we've introduced it to the market, and we saw a niche there for people who want a more aggressive looking tyre without giving too much away in on-road performance.
Thanks for paying attention, guys. Consider what tyre you're going to choose for your vehicle. And thanks, Steve, for joining us.
Thank you, Jared.
Cheers.